Right now, Austin is in the middle of stage 2 water restrictions, and Austin Water said today it should stay that way permanently. Despite the rain, they say we need to conserve our water. KXAN's Chris Sadeghi has more on what this means for you and your home.
The water's filling the lakes, but if you think it will fill your lawn, guess again.
We're going to be very cautious in rolling back any of our conservation efforts.
Austin Water says not so fast. They'll keep lawn care on Water Watch. They think customers have adapted to conservation, and some might be encouraged to make a change.
That's the kind of thing that builds slowly over time.
Austin Water even took their own advice. In front of their headquarters here, they have rocks, native plants, landscaping that doesn't require as much water. They hope their customers will follow suit.
People can get rebates for some of that from Austin Water.
But so far, Ryan Farley hasn't seen much of it.
It's super expensive, and you lose your lawn, so not many people have converted that we've seen.
Farley's app Lawn Starter helps customers book lawn care service. He hasn't seen many go to Sand and Rocks, but also doesn't think once-a-week restrictions will cause a fuss.
I don't think it would be very harmful. Like, you can have a very healthy lawn even with the watering restrictions.
Even a deluge hasn't eliminated the pains from the drought that Austin Water believes showed everyone the importance of conservation.
People have really embraced this. It's reflected in...
Even if the reflection is a color a little less green. In downtown Austin, Chris Sadeghi, KXAN News.
A memo to the City Council said Austin Water talks about considering permanent once-a-week restrictions, but would also talk with stakeholders first to discuss that proposal. We all know the levels on Lake Travis have soared over the last 2 months, but the lake also has a history of going through drought. KXAN's Jim Spencer went to the lake earlier today to take an in-depth look at the changes over the last decade.
Of course, everyone is thrilled about what's happened out here at Lake Travis over the last 60 days. Less than 10 feet more of water, and this lake is full. It's up about 45 feet. In fact, that is the last Sometimes Island. And just a few more feet of water, it too will be submerged. But we have to remember that our water supply, our water storage comes not just from Lake Travis, but also Lake Buchanan. And we have had more water in the two lakes combined back in 2005, as this graph shows, in 2007, in 2010. So this drought overall, when you consider both lakes, is far from over. And we have to learn from our history too. For example, during our longest drought, the drought of record in the 1940s, 1950s, this lake was more than 60 feet lower than it is today, and it literally filled up overnight, right in the middle of that long drought. But then we immediately went back into 5 years of severe drought. So water conservation year-round is always a good idea.
And Jim says a lot of the lake water disappears into thin air every day. Here in the summer, Lake Travis loses about 500 million gallons of water every 3 days simply through evaporation. Today, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality also had conservation in mind. The group approved an emergency order that keeps more water in Lake Travis. Last night at 10 o'clock, we spoke to homeowners who are worried about Lake Travis's water supply. They say the levels are constantly changing and it's hard to watch. But with today's move by the TCEQ, the LCRA will not have to send water downstream to farmers until October at the earliest. And while Austin considers keeping the current water restrictions in place permanently, other cities no longer have any water rules. In May, Lake Georgetown and Stillhouse Hollow Lake became full. They are the main sources of water for Round Rock and Georgetown. People in those cities no longer have any water restrictions, but officials say they are encouraging water conservation.